Recently, I acquired some PlayStation 1 games that only released in Japan. I totally did not emulate them because emulation is a crime after all, especially Nintendo games. Don't do that or Mr. Miyamoto would have to live on the streets. And what's more fun than to pick games you never could have gotten back in the day because they only released in Japan? Unless you imported games, but that means you are old, really old at this point. Let's get to the games already since games are fun. We all have played a track and field game in our lives before, right? Or if you're young, then you have played Mario and Sonic instead. Playing them makes you wonder, could you make running in a straight line more fun? And do more with it than just spamming buttons or waggle your Wiimote? Yes, you can. By putting hot anime girls into your game. It's that simple. And also by allowing you to tackle the other players and running onto their lane. And maybe put lots of different things onto the track too. Like hands that will kinda slap you around. I would kinda like that. It's based on a manga that also got an anime and an OVA, plus an anime reboot that came out a couple of years ago that activates my boomer mindset. Why do the girls in the new version just look so normal? Here every girl is over the top that makes them fun to look at. Why tone it down, especially the hairstyles? We really are lacking spiky and weird hairstyles nowadays in the mainstream, even though we don't want anime to be mainstream, but that train already left the station a long time ago, sadly. I will even take the guy from Final Fantasy X again. In the end, both are kinda supposed to be moe blobs, so does it truly matter? Every generation will have theirs. Back then, some people looked at Lucky Star and thought, nah, these girls are too moe, bring back the 90s for me please, and now people long for the early 2000s again though. The game has a story mode and it's kinda weird how the story mode is just like the free play mode, but with the difference that you have to play as DMC in here, Akira. The other girls in the free mode also get dialogue and stuff like that and their own story in a way, so there's no real difference to the main story mode. Why not pretend that the story mode is for all of them and you can pick your character there, and the free play mode is then, I don't know, deleted? Just like how I want to be deleted? I guess that's how it feels to live in a two-class society. You get what you see. That's the perfect way to describe the game. Look at it. This is it. You can slide, you can jump and even double jump. One or manage your stamina and only walk, or just wait for your opponent to catch up. The game actually forces you to do that, kinda. If you get too far ahead, your character just stops and taunts them and you restore stamina at the cost of them catching up. But now you got lots of stamina while they probably struggle to catch up. My favorite girl here is Tanya because she's wild and hot. Look at her cutie animations. If there's one thing that can be praised about the game, it's how they portray the personality of the ladies quite well. I know that people love to clown on the typical YouTuber joke of I'm not even gonna try to pronounce this name because I will for sure mess it up, hehe, I'm so silly, teehee. But I think it actually can be applied as truth. I like Jessie's last name though. It's fitting for an American in multiple ways. I love yogurt. Also maybe Kojima worked on it as a ghostwriter because I don't think anyone would hear a name like Grand Old Man and not think of Kojimbo. Old life isn't granted to all of us. The biggest problem is that there's not much content. You raise the same girls all the time on the same stages, even though they do change the layout. So you can't perfectly memorize them since they change stuff around, but it can't really give it that replayability you crave. Like chasing the height of your first kill. And the Chinese girl is allowed to cheat. Come on, how are they allowing her to use a bike? I would like to sniff the seat after. Would it even smell like anything though, since she can use it under the water too? I just kinda had to let my pervy side out here. I'm not a pervert, I'm saying this for entertainment purposes. I can also say that the options menu is one of the better ones I have seen. So many options to pick from. Not the best game ever, but somehow I still spend a bunch of time in the time attack mode because you want to clear at least one stage without doing a single mistake before you never touch it again. I should speedrun it. Oh No is a game that will make you say oh no if you're not a fan of childish Japanese humor. So for everyone who hated Shin-chan back in the day, you better take a big step around the game. Just the opening cutscene alone will make you think I'm too old for this, but are you really old enough not to laugh at kids peeing themselves? Twice? Every guy in the game just having their bulge out? The classic of I will push my fingers up your butt so your husband will get mad at the kids for calling her a rhinoceros, so you take over the steamroller, JoJo reference, and try to drive them over, with the husband being butt naked in every possibility of its meaning? Having all perverted cosplaying men who enjoy recording young kids? Topping it off with the nosebleed joke because these guys are watching some public sex and the girls act like the grown-ups in this situation? It has all the tropes you could wish for. It kinda won me over, even though back in the day when I was young, I never enjoyed watching Shin-chan. With his dumb po boogie woogie, how he called it in German. Just shaking his butt around in front of others, sometimes also farting while doing it. Every time it was on TV, I checked the other channels to see if something better is on, and if there wasn't, I would watch it, despite me not liking it. At least it wasn't as terrible as Oggy and the Cockroaches. That one is by far the worst comic show ever made. Did you know that it was super popular in India for some reason? The more you know. I hated it as a kid, but nowadays I at least can see the appeal of the old German version. Because it used Dirk Bach as a narrator who would make up rhymes with whatever was happening on the screen. A funny little looking guy who sadly passed away a couple of years ago. Instead of being a silent cartoon where you only hear noises from the characters. You could say it's a bit like Pepsi Man but with more smartness, since you can change your formation. But Pepsi Man is the strongest man in the world after all since he drinks Pepsi. I like Pepsi, I love Pepsi, I could drink Pepsi all day long. I'm not sponsored. I wish I would be. The only partnership I would take for my channel. You will never see me doing sponsored stuff here otherwise. Or else you are allowed to kick me in my butt. But I would like that, so go ahead. I won't get them anyways. The one thing that was a bit weird, weirder than the humor, was the difficulty throughout the game. The first stage was one of the hardest ones, but some of the later ones were super duper easy. Mostly it depends on how many one-hit KOs a stage has. If you get hit by a car, you are out, just like in real life. Sometimes there's tons of holes and sometimes they're only my holes. Other things only damage you a tiny bit and you can get health back by collecting burgers or lose even more when you get the fish burgers. What's wrong with fish burgers? I love them, almost as much as a good old Mettbrötchen. Obviously real ones are a tiny bit different, maybe they just don't like fish, I don't know. After every stage you get a little mini game, and here the game shows its biggest weakness because they only got 2 mini games for the whole game. Either you have to button smash or do a little whiz mini game. The backgrounds in them change, but it's just a bit lame. There's so much love put into the actual stages with so much variety, but then you get the same minigame over and over at the end. You could cut these parts out of the game and you wouldn't miss anything. Unlike the music of the game, because they get rocky songs, punky songs, ska stuff. It's always fun to see what kind of track you get next, and it just kind of fits the vibe of the game. It's quirky, but the good kind of quirky. Not the quirky chungus kind of quirky. It's an experience for sure, no cap. That might have been the worst thing I have ever said. So I have to clean it up with a good old hot take. I do not like levels where you walk towards the screen. Never liked them in Crash, and also I did not like them here. In Crash they always feel fair, but here they will whip you a new one. I'm not obsessed with holes. I'm not even at the age where my reflexes don't exist anymore, but look at this. Look at these holes. It gives you almost no time to react if you're in the wrong formation, but even if you are in the right formation, you will probably die a couple of times before you remember if one appears left or right. Stuff like this is the reason I failed my driver's license. Or a woman just randomly deciding to block your path. Young lady, why did you do that to me? Hitback is a 3D breakout game that feels a bit janky at first. But what does janky even mean? Most people say janky to different things. What makes something janky? I think it comes from your feelings instead of being something proven. If you play Gothic 1, you will see tons of people saying it plays janky, but it's not totally janky because you first have to upgrade your sword stats to be able to really use the sword well. But that's not the point of the video. You will though think that the hitboxes here are kinda janky. Sometimes the ball will hit nothing and it counts as you hitting it back, and in times where you thought it should hit, it won't hit. Eventually you get used to it though and get a feel of what is possible and what isn't. Now you might think that automatically makes the game bad since the hitbox is very important, but I mean many people still love Counter-Strike Source and that had terrible hitboxes. It's up to your own standards. Instead of complaining about it, use it to your advantage. It's like when you play ping pong with your friend and just crush the ball instead of your hand and declare yourself as the winner, or doing it to his balls. It's 3D so you can go anywhere, top left, top right, into the middle, unlike the normal kind of breakout where you are stuck to a simple line like a goalkeeper. Here you can be a sweeping one and actually have to pay attention to where the ball goes, even more than usually. And I'm a big breakout fan. I never broke out of prison sadly, but maybe one day I will. It even comes with a story. The princess got kidnapped and now it's your turn to save her with one of the 4 characters, and since I always pick girls in games, I picked Pony. Mostly because of her happy smile though. She's always smiling, even when facing against enemies that would not make you smile. More about that soon. The characters don't really change except for the animations and sounds, like this guy who breakdances or uses his big mouth to hit the ball back. I really hate saying this, but he looks like a soy jack, doesn't he? What I love is the variety of the stages. There's so many that just make you think, why? Did they need a stage where you fight instead of a human with white blood cells screaming all around you? No, they did not need to add a stage like that. But they did it anyways, that's what makes it great. Maybe this is what happens when you drink too much Pepsi from the vending machine world. Where I was even allowed to pick between that or the iconic Windows 98 Maze screensaver. We all want it back, but screensavers don't exist anymore. A relic of a bygone era. I would sit there as a kid and just watch it for a long time. Maybe this was my very own cutting the sober Subway Surfers distraction back in the day. This stage reminded me of that one cave in Lego Island 1 with the door that made you think there had to be more to this, right? So you tried years to find the secret behind it as a kid just to realize there's none. Later stages also start having their own gimmicks, like how the vending machines spawn cans for you to avoid if you hit them, or the water stage where the wave tries to distract you. It does nothing else. You would expect it to slow you down, but nope, it's just there for show. Isn't it weird how all those aquarium places have world in their name, Ocean World, Aqua World, and so on? The only upgrade for your ball is upgrading it yourself. You won't find any power-ups after defeating enemies here. Except for some 1-ups that are in the shape of your own head, which is kinda a little bit creepy but also kinda cute. If you hit the ball back and forth enough times, it transforms it into a cute fluffy thing that looks like baby Whitley. And then into one of those heavy weights that normally says 100 kilograms on it and then drops onto the head of a character, you know, the typical cartoon joke. After that there's even one more and it's a rainbow thingy that I only got once. The biggest difference is that if you get the heavy weight, the ball won't come back bouncing anymore after hitting an enemy and goes through. With the fluffy or normal ball, you sometimes get easily owned if you hit an enemy too close to the screen, so it bounces right back in a way where you can't react. Can't happen when you're too heavy for that. So better eat some burgers or maybe you're already American. The better your balls, the more damage it deals to bosses and all that. Every stage also has a boss like a big man-eating flower. These cute Japanese dolls that people make to wish for good weather. A Shinigami and my favorite one, these sassy aliens. Look at them walk as if they're on the catwalk of a big fashion show. Their turnaround, wow, 10 out of 10. I would buy any kind of clothing they would try to sell to me, even underwear. I just hope they won't shoot me with the lasers coming from the third eye. I wish I had a third eye. Then I could see everything that the world has to offer. And then suddenly, Satan. Even after sassy aliens and fighting instead of a body, I did not expect him to be the final boss. And his first form even has this kind of what is this feeling to it. Instead of using the somewhat generic red guy design. I had a friend in elementary school who was obsessed with South Park the movie, where he played a big role, and maybe that's where my beef with Satan comes from. Reminds me of Shin Megami Tensei 4 and Lucifer, it's just not the kind of design you expect, right? Till he turns into a big snake or reptile, and he's described like that in the New Testament after all, so it makes sense. Also, I thought I could do a 1cc one of this game eventually, but Satan made me think, nah, actually I'm good. The whirlwind attacks that come flying at you are just too random for me to really make me think, okay, I won't die and die and die at this point. Sometimes you will win things and the ball align together, so if you want to hit the ball, you get hit by the wind, but the wind pushes you away so you lose the ball. It's almost impossible not to lose a couple of lives here. You have to hope that the ball lands behind him so it goes bing 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 and kills him. Then the game ends and it all was a story told to a baby by the mummy. How cute. Not sure if it's cute to tell a baby a story about Satan, but a baby would not know who Satan is. So you could have just also inserted Hitler instead, because that name also carries no weight to a baby. Yet. It's really worth playing for any Breakout fan. There's another Breakout game I played and that's Kuzushi. Just a typical simple game that we all know and love. No 3D or kicking cute fluffy animals around. With a great soundtrack that will make you think you're watching a slice of life anime in the late 90s or early 2000s and a colorful art style. Not much else to say except that I love Breakout. As a kid I kinda did not like arcade games like it, but nowadays I could play it forever, till I die. With that said, I hope you enjoyed the video and will have a good day, a good night or whatever fits your time zone. It's always nice to find new fun games to show off, and at first I wanted to make this an unscripted kind of video series, but then I listened to it and realized, wow, I go onto weird rants and tangents way too often and too much if I don't have a text to keep me at bay. I left a bit of that in here too anyways though, since otherwise it wouldn't be me, right? Next time maybe it will be PlayStation 2 games or GameCube ones, or who knows. Bye bye.